The Wake Files. Fire in the Sky. Description: the vast landscape of concrete, urban hellscape superimposed on the atmospheric beauty from the sky to the light. Each fragment of the grander picture coalesces to form Strums of Surburbia, level 79. Elevated, sometimes rugged terrain shapes the island. Terrain lined by buildings strewn across its surface, occasionally broken up by uniform, precise distribution in plots. In spite of it, human-made adornments and structures such as hanging lanterns, flags, and street art bleak the symmetry, giving the lifeless, towering buildings a sense of humanity. The roads and sidewalks are of asphalt, seemingly haphazardly thrown together, crackable, painted with haste, and yet despite this, they teeter, they sprawl from the ground beneath. They constantly extend and form paths around the artificial, as though water spreading through a maze. In the dead center of the level lies a pathway, cleanly carving through buildings and connecting the north and south extremes through one road. Most structures are located nearby, ever expanding, spreading like a cancer from the very sides of the central road into what lies beyond. Enormous cranes tower over the buildings, each aimlessly weaving and slowly materializing blocks of concrete into rooms precisely attached atop nearby buildings, all while structural support beams stretch and extend upwards to accompany the new foundation. The sidewalks, populated by utility poles with wires sprouting from their base and cables slowly growing from within, others like branches on a tree. Away from the overseeing cranes, near the shore, human construction populates the roads. Primitive, suburban houses of varying styles dwarf the view of the coast, with the occasional greenery filling the corners and cracks of the makeshift paths and sidewalks. Greenery no longer repressed by the concrete. Silence permeates the sea's atmosphere, the light from the skybox illuminating and reflecting from it. It sits calmly, devoid of significant waves, absent of movement from below. The civilization beyond the sea, on the other island ahead, is the same civilization that stands miles behind you. The level wraps back in on itself seamlessly, like an Ouroboros, giving it the sense of infinity, each island symmetrically placed in a grid. The interiors of buildings vary, each more disorganized and unrelated than the last. While some rooms possess disconnected, disordered items, nonsensical paintings, and barely recognizable photos, others are instead completely empty, devoid of meaning. The structure of the rooms themselves is chaotic, never too ridiculous to feel implausible, but always disarrayed enough to feel wrong. That disarray leads to the formation of small pockets, walled-off crevices of darkness. That disarray creates paper-thin windows with their otherwise scenic view blocked off by walls. Or even nothing at all, a hole where a window was meant to be. Frigid yet pleasant air fills the level. Snow seasonally weeps from the abyss above. The sky pulsates, suppressing the daylight's rebellions, yet that daylight always manages to leave marks of its futile attempts on the surface. And despite the frequently emotionless, bland emptiness that permeates the sky, its ever-changing periodic fracturing, unleashing figments of the daylight, letting battered sun hidden behind pour out its damaged light, casting a weakened, beautiful contrast within the cracks. Location: away from human reaches, bright red, glimmering lights overlook the distance and stare down. Each light piercing through the fog, each light flickering, shining in random patterns. The radio towers stand atop their own miniature island off the coast, like kings in a castle, a castle seemingly reserved specifically for them, absent of buildings or cranes. All foreigners who step close feel a palpable, irritating sensation envelop their body with potency, an aggressive reaction to intrusion that grasps and pounds on your chest with ferocity, only made stronger and more unbearable the closer you get. And reflecting from it, it sits calmly devoid of significant waves, absent of movement from below. The civilization beyond the sea, on the other island ahead, is the same civilization that stands miles behind you. The level wraps back in on itself seamlessly, like an Ouroboros, giving it the sense of infinity, each island symmetrically placed in a grid. They emit at ever-changing, oscillating frequencies at distances high enough to encapsulate the entire level. And despite this, the noise they produce stays stagnant, unreactive, and poorly looped, ending abruptly only to come back seconds later. Many describe the noise as ethereal and heavenly, a total contrast to the tower's imposing stature, with a majority finding some solace within it. Level-born cultures tend to utilize the sound, whether in their respective folk genres or as a detonation of calmness and peace with the self. Wire angels. Wire angels are widely assumed to be natural responses, their formations reactive to large-scale death, commonly caused by conflict. Many cultures view them as a reservoir to commemorate life, each wire interpreted as an effigy-like representation of those who perished in tragedy. An interpretation further invigorated by wire angels becoming non-functional, the electricity it once produced absent, blocked, as though someone had turned it off, yet the power is still present, trying to escape, thrashing the insides of the utility pole to no response or connection, a prison for it, where it's confined and left to experience its natural course of decay. Known wire angels. Conflict. Nymphaeist Ravage. Date 1886. Conflict. Red Lotus. Date 1899. Conflict. Rufin War of Independence. Date 1907. Conflict. War of the Holy Flower. Date 1938. Conflict. Black April Coup. Date 1966. Conflict. Artragoan Insurgency in Castany. Date 1999. Conflict. Rufus Nicephorus. Border Skirmishes. Date 2008. Blossom Altar. An alone, lotus-shaped brethren of the radio towers sits still in a forest yet unconquered by cranes. It seems to shiver, pulsate, lightly vibrate, as though the metallic shell is hiding the skin of something alive, experiencing the cold, as though the inner, thin layer of unbreakable steel that wraps around it is an inescapable cage, bearing whatever it is inside from seeing what exists beyond, and bearing the beyond from what exists inside. It commonly reciprocates the sound of the radio field, playing it back through its center, unleashing the ethereal melody in a distorted form back into nature. It emits a cold aura around its structure, contrasted by the warmth of its shell. Below its foundation lies an intricate system of metallic roots that run through the terrain like butter. They jitter and lightly move in stone, carving in small pockets of air with time, yet the shell never seems to be damaged or rusted. The most notable aspect of the altar is its image distortion. Photographs up close are interfered with, and so are camcorders and audio devices. Video becomes unrecognizably crunched. Audio becomes blown out and bassy. all while photographs take the smallest toll with simple, glossy image compression, as if purposely letting its existence be spread through more than just word of mouth. Addendums. Tantalizing cold. It's familiar, never too dissimilar to what I remember. A disconnected mimicry of my memories. A breeze constantly swept by me. The breeze constantly relieved me, reminded me that I'm safer and at some sort of home. Yet the smallest inconsistencies always bugged me. Windows misaligned, walls with no purpose, doors where a Porsche should be. It's like chewing into a soft food and hearing something crunch, yet that crunch feels oddly human, no? I love the unexplainable eye candy-like contrast between people and brutalism, especially when decorated by snow or nature. Human-made, yet human hostile, yet human accustomed. This place rids of the first condition and still feels homely. Something I've been trying to describe for a while but just can't. It's special to me because it's one of those feelings you can only really resonate with if you grew up with it. And yet, despite the lack of humanity behind these buildings, the splotches of imperfections fool me into believing otherwise. The permanent nighttime too. Young me always enjoyed wandering the streets at night, when I could, looking at the massive, mostly unlit blocks with strewn light posts, absent of sounds that weren't mine. And as an adult now, it's no different. The white snow, the angelic lights, the desaturated blue that coats every surface, it all harmonizes. It wraps around a bitter hostility to an unchanging comfort. You might think I'm insane. I mean, you definitely do, but in my opinion, true beauty is the horseshoe theory. The fact that something can sound so depressing on the surface, yet because of humanity's ability to transform anything into something for us, it becomes beautiful as you look at it. It's the little details, like the random scrappy cracked signs or the nationalist graffiti, that makes it all stick. Also, on the topic of people, the drunk motherfuckers on the street remind me a lot of home. The troglodyte activities and all. Even the pink light through the window in a random room snitching on the fact that a guy is growing drugs. I could probably sit here and write about the random street fights I've seen between teenagers who somehow just have firecrackers all day. And honestly, I might see that being entertaining, but philosophical rambling is more my taste, so you're not getting that unless I really get bored. Snippet from The Wake's Beauty. Stefan Kotev, 2003. As I passed on through the signs written in English, cleanly carved above crude scratches of geometric symbols and shapes, the light bloomed on from afar. The warm color contrasted the serene turquoise etched into the skyline, as mountains and buildings disappeared behind the veils of distant, short fog. The waters lightly and reassuringly crashed into the shore. The crashing invited me, embraced me, to look beyond, to gaze at the human-made buildings meant to be miles behind me, yet in front of my eyes. I walked down the pathway of crooked stone, haphazardly aligned in patterns, unpolished. I could feel the edge of my shoes lightly bend around the curves as the shore thrashed. I could see the sky's infinite eyes awake at once from my right. I could see, I could feel, a pack of glowing eyes observing and monitoring me from the darkness beyond, eyes looking on with curiosity. And as I reached the bottom of the road, I could feel the water shiver through the earth. The cold wooden fence gate leading down to the coast creaked as I opened it. That creaking lightly reverberated through the landscape. And finally, here I was, just in time to see the glowing fractures in the sky. Fractures topped by eyes that pierced through the idyllic green. I could see the roof and flags wave from the other side as the muffled, distant cheering found its way to me. I see the eyes glisten. I see them shine, sparkle, and parade. They dance around the fractures as the water kisses my shoe. I hope her mind is at peace, and I hope mine is too after what I did. When I opened that drawer in my new home, I could feel my mind connecting everything I found unnerving about it in real time. Each connection bringing dread and pain in my chest as I finally grasped what it all tried saying. It was a replica, a photo almost perfectly carved by her recollections back on Earth. It was an image manifested by her crude, unvivid description, roughed and scratched by God knows what. That's when the colors of the room all bled together, like veins. That's when the outlines on the walls, the contorted geometric shapes and patterns that drew from what she liked, clicked. This wasn't hers, it was a mimicry. It wasn't my fault. A torn-up note found in a room in Confederation of the Holy Flower, stained by tears. The last bit of text is nearly unrecognizable, obfuscated in lines. Entities. Tulpification used to be a common way for entities to manifest due to the rich cultures that made up the level. However, many tulpified creatures are now extinct, serving no purpose for our style of quick documentation. So, for brevity, we will only document one instance of an important extinct entity, with the others still roaming around the level in some capacity. If you wish to learn about the extinct tulpae, you can find information about them on their respective cultural databases. Coffners.
Status.
Alive.
Round, cyclopic, shy furballs blend into the darkness, towering over society in their wake. As the only naturally occurring entity within the level, a majority of the populace keeps a Coffner as a pet. Many wanderers describe their calming and relaxing effect as being akin to cats, an animal not too dissimilar to our cats. Coffners are quite active in human custody, with their shyness quickly fading, becoming more integrated with people as though they were a family member. Aside from their calming effect, Coffners have been noted to experience a strange comfort and interest in cranes, wire angels, radios, specifically the noise emitted by the radio field, and various other pieces of architecture scattered throughout the level, backed by an irrational and unsubduable fear and disdain of human-made constructs. And despite domestication being possible, those who live in slums around the coast are unable to convince a Coffner to domesticate. Their unblinking, glowing eyes are poignant, even in the dark. Their human-like eyes, fluid and flexible, weave in a deep feeling of disturbance and dread as a myriad of eyes stare at one from all angles. Their pack-like tendencies are volatile. It's common for swaths of Coffners to form for mere hours, just to disband soon after. Most packs are formed in the moment, usually to take advantage of utility poles for feeding as they nuzzle up to the metal, and wires to consume the electricity for substance. Extras.
79 Croc / Coffner Taming Guide.
Coffner's Lexi advocates. Lobbying for Coffner care since 1972.
So, you're considering adopting and taming a Coffner. What's next? Well, don't get too ahead of yourself. First and foremost, make sure that you're not kidnapping someone else's pet. Luckily, we've managed to force multiple pieces of legislation into almost every suburban nation regarding the regulation and official management of Coffner adoption. So long as you can read this webpage, you can differentiate between adopted and unadopted Coffners through a tag, collar, or badge mounted on their fur. Be wary that adopted Coffners usually have tracking devices planted onto them as a precaution for thieves, so don't steal any of them, you quash. While Coffners can quickly get adjusted to a new environment, it takes a degree of preliminary care to ensure that they don't just immediately short-circuit your electronics to piss you off, then storm out of your block. This is too common, and we couldn't make this up even if we tried. Here are 3 crucial steps to admitting your new buddy to home safely.
Steps. 1. Show interest. Coughners are quite good at understanding human body language, so even just one display of interest is enough for it to understand and remember you. Even if you can't recognize it from a crowd of others, it will recognize you, and with time, it will reciprocate that interest. 2. Build rapport. Give the Coughner a reason to trust you, be it giving them head pats, toys to play with, or little snacks. The end goal is to make the Coughner want to interact with you more. Make sure that the care you give them is soft and slow, as harsher interactions will immediately deter them from interacting with you. We recommend that you buy Coughner bars, those rechargeable small ones, and give it small tastes. Make sure that it's charged up beforehand, otherwise it'll leave your with it and lose interest instantly. 3. Let it in. Now that your Coughner is starting to get comfortable with you, it'll signal a deep purr that it wants to go inside your block. Signal it to follow you there, and let it inside. Make sure to communicate with your Coughner that the electronics in your block are, in fact, not tasty, despite what some businessmen might want you to believe. There is not a single drop of evidence that you need some kind of anti-Coughner energy field around your possessions so it doesn't destroy them. It can understand body language, and simply gesturing an X or a thumbs down while pointing at a valuable is enough for it to understand and cooperate. Also make sure to give it space, and make sure that it has some way to exit your block at will. Windows are the most common method, as Coughners are capable of surviving any height. Coughners are social creatures, and while a fully tamed Coughner will ask for permission before going outside unless absolutely necessary, one that's still getting used to their new owner won't. Don't restrict their ways of escaping, as they are incredibly envious and will know.
Frequently asked questions. Question: can I bring my Coughner outside of suburbia? Answer: no, since unlike humans, Coughners are unable to no-clip out. If you're planning to go somewhere for some time and have a pet Coughner, you can get a pet sitter or a friend of yours to take care of it for the time being. Question: can I only feed it Coughner bars? Answer: no. Coughner bars aren't a good substitute for the actual electricity that they get from the towers. While they seem to prefer the taste of Coughner bars, especially the flavored ones, they can't live off them. Question: does it know English? Answer: probably not. Seawalkers.
Status.
Near extinction.
With appendages stuck deep below, water appendages lightly touching the seabed, they slowly wander, observe, and look after the humans below. Their dark, spindly body, viscerally weakened, limbs that produce an almost knuckle crack-like sound with each minute movement. Each crack more liquidy than the last. Each crack's size echoing through the surroundings. Their constant frown shines a glowing cyan. Their constant frown pierces through fog and lights up the most pitch-black void. They don't intend to harm, but rather to understand. They don't exist to intimidate, but to learn what living means. They're a tulpified species, a florist manifestation symbolic of human discovery, as well as a metaphor for sapience and its undying courage to understand what the self truly means. Despite being naturally harmless, seawalkers participate in self-defense if necessary, using their strong limbs to knock anyone up and into the air, resulting in hunting being ill-advised regardless of equipment. However, this hasn't stopped them from becoming a common target for smaller raiders and major groups alike. Their grand stature and fully fleshy body devoid of bones, their flesh with meager taste yet incredible nutrition, each aspect makes them ideal victims for a hunt. As well as that, a singular seawalker can feed up to 10 people in one feast. Their frowns are quite sought after as well, primarily by scientific groups such as the ERC, Entity Research Committee, and Castany, as a result of their composition. Solid, single-celled, freely deformable, bioluminescent solids with the ability to be infected by viruses for Medicare testing to produce bouts of nutritious algae when consuming proteins in water. Many advocate letting their existence simmer, letting their tupaic radiation wear off to let them fully integrate with the wake/the backrooms and become part of the hive, similar to the fate of clumps. And while this advocacy has majorly helped in establishing regulations within most groups, individual hunters are infrequently held accountable in uncontrolled territory, leading to seawalkers being on the brink of extinction. An estimated 82 are still alive as of 2002. Callers.
Status.
Extinct.
A topé of fear culminated in the Nymphaeist Ravage, an attempted religious cleaning by the now long-gone Estatia, the oldest known culture and people to have formed on the level. Collars were notably biblical in design, with motives that are in part thanks to the now extinct Wake Catholic Church's own attempt at the total eradication of the barbaric, resulting in the manifestation of a violent and aggressive mimicry of God. They assisted the ravage through speech and fear. It possessed properties to fragment emotional responses and the ability to call on Nymphaeist locations through the radio frequencies used by stations for public channel radio. Their appearance is described as headache-inducing, with the light flaps of their all-seeing wings being hypnotizing, a hypnosis that forms kaleidoscopic migraine auras of rapidly shifting, abstract shapes and colors. Long after the ravage had been concluded, long after the Red Lotus wiped stations off the map, the callers kept existing, wandering aimlessly across the level. Their existence a painful reminder to the Nymphaeists who saw their loved ones aimlessly slaughtered and hunted like witches in the cleansing. And as the tragic memory faded, so did callers, one by one picked off and killed, until finally being brought to extinction by the Titular militia in 1983. Communities and outposts. For time's sake, the communities compiled here will only be those that have some sort of major significance or have made a major contribution to the populace or level, in no specific order. Anthra. Anthra is a tightly organized merchant-based group founded by ex-Major Explorer Group member Anthea Pauling, approximately 1893, resting within the level's large swaths of now uncontrolled territory. The group has had a notable stranglehold on economic trade, with it being the primary choice for product distribution and selling for outsiders, resulting in its notably massive foreign currency reservoir, only rivaled by architect industries. Small shops and stores controlled by Anthra are each denoted with a glowing 16-pointed asterisk, usually affixed on the side of the building. And many of the locations are in major travel hubs, such as the Central Road or near borders, although an exception exists, that being the Anthran Economy Zone, a plot of land the size of Castanine, run without government, a plot of land with the purpose of establishing a neutral, unified, communal trading center for people and groups alike. With its long history of sporadic, unstable leadership, its organization has become alien and anarchic from what it used to be under Pauling, leading to the group fostering an almost pyramid scheme-like structure, further complicated and obfuscated with its winding branches and fractal-like composition, with each pyramid containing multiple others within. Castanine, or the state of Castanine, is a small, neutral, self-described, scientocratic state responsible for much of Level 79's scientific discovery, prowess, and advancement. The state largely prides itself on its people and beliefs, deeply embedded in generocracy and social Darwinism, with its small populace solely composed of scientists and researchers. A populace heavily monitored and afflicted by the dictatorial, constantly revolving High Senate. Those born within the state are subject to a grueling and daunting 6-year-long education after their basic preliminary, from age 12 to 18, with those who fail being deported to groups like the Proletarium or Confederation of the Holy Flower as either citizens or, lesser more commonly, the latter. Many describe the Scientocracy as a self-fulfilling prophecy. Those in the High Senate are smart enough to realize the corruption and horrid nature of the system. People that are then manipulated into rule with material promises to further continue the unbreakable loop. Outside of Nymphaism's wide reach on the level, the Confederation of the Holy Flower, CHF, stands tall as a conglomerate and representative of 5 separate nations, culturally unified under the level-born florist religion. While inherently separate and widely different in nature, florism draws influences from Nymphaism, not only in its flower-based symbolism, but also in structure with its florist church. Florism believes that the wake is a result of God's death, with the fragments of his self being dispersed, pollinating the flowers that will eventually bloom into what we know as irreality. With the flower-based symbolism of the religion extending to more than just symbolic preference, but also the wake structure as a whole. It believes that God is a title that can be redeemed by anyone, and that the wake is the direct access point towards the redemption of this title. As a nation, the Confederation of the Holy Flower is highly capitalist and classifies as an autocratic democracy, flawed to its very core, with a leadership similar to Rufus, although lesser in severity. Comparatively to other nations in the level, the Confederation of the Holy Flower is the most basic and least outlandish in ideology, with its influence primarily standing in trade, military strength, and as the direct source of most tulpified folklore to roam the level. Founded by ex-Nexusian military general Zvezda Shiprovsky in the wake of Otto Nexus' infamous silent coup, approximately 1952, the Nexusian Republic of Mechta is a breakaway state molded by Zvezda's own ideological beliefs of self-sustainability, secularity, cultural liberalism, total military control, and prosperity. The state's meddling in geopolitics is minimal, as much of its time is spent focusing and tackling local issues, cleanly reflecting by almost all states within Level 79, regardless of ideology, sharing a reciprocated, neutral stance with the Republic. Elections are traditionally absent, with the group leadership being reserved to the Shiprovsky dynasty, although crises such as inability for the current leader to govern, regardless of the reason, are exempt, with elections for temporary leadership being held immediately. The Nsiferazi Republic of Tehio-Vikuzhu is a so-called cultural colony, the biggest of its kind, an independent entity technically classified as part of Nsiferaz due to its deep-rooted cultural connection. Formed as a result of the Nsiferazi Level 79 repopulation program, approximately 1886, the colony reserves full independence, although some of its actions are under the lenient jurisdiction of the Nsiferazi Council. The national structure is also no different from its home country, with a strict traditional Sylvanist leadership and economy, as well as focus on Nymphaist ideals and beliefs. The Socialist Republic of Rahalinen, approximately 1981, is a state founded as response and direct antithesis to the proletarian takeover of the Rufus Principalities by the minority Nymphaist populace, founded by Finnish-born Rufin Anton Järväläinen. Rahalinen is a democratic, open government state, majorly influenced by Nsiferazi politics and some Ahrilainen thought. It keeps close ties with Nsiferaz and, by proxy, the neighboring Tehio-Vikuzhu, and has been involved multiple times in various regional conflicts such as 2008's Rufus Niceferazi border skirmishes. Ariel's political influence on the nation can be seen with its lack of reservation in geopolitics and its common, almost quote-unquote heroic attitude towards minor conflicts in the level, has given it the inflammatory title of Colonial Lapdog or Colonial Quitscope. Rahaleni influence is primarily found within its external police force, largely based on the Backrooms Investigation Foundation, a somewhat effective, rigid secret service responsible for mass-scale crackdowns and assassinations of criminals seen as generally problematic by the wider populace, such as the Sightseer and Archegoan sympathizers. The Rufus Proletarium is the most infamous major group in the level, and perhaps even outside of it. Only rivaled by the likes of Zeta and Archego, its formation as we know it in 1966 was established after the Black April coup within the then failing United Principalities of Rufa, resulting in the establishment of an autocratic socialist state with a deep, close alignment to Castine and the Confederation of the Holy Flower. Despite being coastal, the Proletarium is impressively industrialized massively, using the level's ambiguous inner workings to their fullest extent, with key parts of Rufus being mining, industry, and self-sufficiency. And interestingly, the so-called Proletarium socialist doctrine takes heavy inspiration from the Niceferazi Zedkoyo dictatorship. Its cultural manipulation with the intent of normalizing violations of human rights, the good, albeit still slave-like conditions of the working class, or as they're called, proles, and the castle-like city infrastructure of its capital, Fort Malhison. Extra information. Suburban English. It's important for foreigners within the level to be aware of the cultural differences of suburbians. The generic regional demonym for native inhabitants, the most notable of which being Suburban English, the local dialect originating from the late 19th century. It sports several accentual differences, stretching of long vowels and clipping of shorter ones. Leisurely, relaxed speech, emphasized syllables, staccato-timed speech rhythm, dropped endings, and so on, as well as new slang and smaller grammatical changes. While influences from Niceferazi are clear, it's common for wanderers to compare many of the dialect's facets to the Southern American accent. As mentioned, the dialect houses a myriad of new slang. However, for simple stop-bys and visits, you're likely to only hear a few, such as Quetzgoat, pronunciation Quetzgoat, meaning suck up, lapdog. Junked, pronunciation junkt, meaning complete idiot, utmost moronic. Kerov, pronunciation Kerov, meaning massive problem, urgent. Quash, pronunciation quash, meaning childlike antics, highly immature. Sarn, pronunciation sarn, meaning tired but needing to do something. Ferric, pronunciation ferric, meaning utmost insane, troglodyte. Koffner, pronunciation koffner, meaning animal with fur. Edrum, pronunciation e-drum, meaning lighter night, equivalent to a day in suburbia. Lach, pronunciation lock, meaning a full e-drum/night cycle, occasionally used outside suburbia for full day and night cycles. By far the most intriguing change in suburban English is its focus on contractions. The dialect is practically swarmed with this stuff. Examples of them being of to f, and to n, r to u to y. Interestingly, contractions are boundless. They're used both formally and informally. They're stackable. They're used everywhere on the word. For example, tulsv or losv. They're like hound syndrome, ruthless and all-consuming. In fact, contractions are such a commonly used tool that not only has it spread to outsiders' jokes, but suburbians also frequently overplay them to comical extents when around others. There also exists a new swath of end punctuation, mostly derivatives of the exclamation and question marks. Irony punctuation. Irony, loaned from the Sifarazi. Introbang. Bewilderment, loaned from the Sifarazi. Asterisk. Uncertainty. Inverted exclamation mark. Call out. To indicate that someone and something is of some descent or of some property, it's common for suburbians to apply the suffix is, which is then moved to precede the other word. For example, of Rufa, changed to Rufus. Proletarium of Rufa, changed to Rufus Proletarium. Of Suburbian, changed to Suburbus. English of Suburbians, changed to Suburbus English. Of gold, changed to Goldus. Heart of gold, changed to Goldus heart. Of God, changed to Goddess. The broken fireband of God, changed to Goddess broken fireband. And finally, when there are multiple words following the of, such as the name of a government department, it's commonplace for the suffix ye to be applied onto the last word of that pair, then moved in front of the word with the is suffix. Department of Science and Technology. Sciences and Technology Department. Advocates of Kaufner rights. Kaufnerist Reitier advocates. Collective of Suburban Nations. Suburbus Nationji Collective. Lifestyle. While we hope that the addendums near the beginning of the page helped you understand what life is like in the level, explaining nuance through brief scenic descriptions is stupidly hard, so we're taking the easy way out. Check out Suburbus Life on Backchat. Welcome to Backchat, the #1 forum in the Backrooms. Welcome to Suburbus Life. Rules. Only post about level 79. Only speak in Suburbus English, with exceptions if it's really funny. No unironic nationalism. We don't want to corrode with any dumbass authorities or whatever. If you have complaints, especially if you're in Suburbus, forward them to the nearest dumpster. We aren't answering them. Hope you enjoy pure, unfiltered, schizophrenic shit. TLDR, shitposts kept here. Life stuff moved to Suburbus Life 2. As y'all may have noticed, some quash fucks ripped to control of this thread from our hands. Now, thing is, we don't like the chaos and whatever's going on here anymore. But y'all do, and to honor that, the current mod team will abdicate to the new Suburbus Life 2 thread to continue talking about life and shit. For y'all, this thread's yours. We'll elect a new mod soon and we'll diverge our paths. That's all. See ya.
From Anonymous.
Imagine being a girl, right? You finally hook up with a cute guy after ages of looking. You both hit it off and enjoy your company. Not exactly the greatest deal, as it's online, but it's something. Then one day, he tells you he wants to meet up in person, so you accept. And when you open his block's door, he stares at you like this.
Reply from
7 erratly. What the fuck's that?
Reply from Anonymous.
Confederation of Holy Flower Leader Portrait. BWL, imagine being so unlucky that you take your inaugural portrait when your camera's going through in realism. I thought I'd share it. It lit up my day more than it should have.
From Nichoka. Reply from Anonymous.
How to fact Mandarin V terminals.
Reply from Nichoka.
We earned that, Paul.
Reply from Anonymous.
Surprise.
From Velver.
I know this isn't really expected, but I think it's nice to have every once in a while. Today I was with my family at a Nectar restaurant and I loved it. Genuinely some really great food and the people were unbelievably kind. It was great.
Reply from Skotev.
Which one was it? Just curious so I can give you recommendations when you come back here.
Reply from Velver.
Mekika, I think it was called. Southern side of the capital.
Reply from Skotev.
I adore that place. I only go there when I'm tired, to be honest, but it attracts me like the plague, so I'll just be sorry. I recommend trying out Halva. It's really good and fairly cheap.
Reply from Velver.
I will try it out next time. Thank you.
From K.I.D COLW. Reply from Anonymous.
B-Sightseer. Profoundly accentuated accent. Highly akin to how Nisiferazzi people speak Suburbus English. Sightseer is my all-time favorite closeted Razzie.
Reply from Kofis.
Dude, if I was Nisiferazzi, I'd hate myself so much. Imagine.
From Velver.
Genuine question. Why are there so many Castanese people in this thread?
Reply from Seven Eretly.
Because I'd rather be doing anything else than remember that I live here, to be honest.
Reply from
Yeah.
Reply from Seven Eretly.
I'm just so tired.
Reply from Admiral.
From one to another?
Reply from K.I.D COLW.
It'll be okay.
Reply from Seven Eretly.
It really won't,
Reply from Nichoka.
Granted, I don't know what life there is like, but there's always something to look forward to. I learned this myself ages ago. There's always that little sparkle to chase and follow. You'll be okay, even if it doesn't seem like it right now. Please seek help if possible, or be more open to your family and friends.
From Velver.
Oh.
From E7.
I feel you so much. Entrances. No clipping in level 10, the bumper crop, may randomly bring you here. Stepping into a cushy pile of snow in level 1, the parking zone brings you here. Entering through an imposable, unbreakable door in level mark will bring you here. Staring at a painting, a mirror-like mirage that reflects the self, in level 5, the Terror Hotel will bring you here. Breaking a portion of the ice on a frozen river, lake, or ocean and jumping into the freezing water on level 415, Desolate White, has a 50 out of 50% chance of sending someone here. Exits. Going through the glowing red door labeled Staff Exit near the central road brings you to level 2, Pipe Dreams. No clipping, while almost non-existent, can bring you to level 37, Sublimity, or level 11, the Concrete Jungle. The cabin near the Blossom Altar leads to level 27, Ligneous Desolation. Stepping through the darkened door on the southern shore right in front of the central roads and brings you to level 6, Lights Out. Rarely, the ground can collapse. This will bring one to level 511, Petrified Echoes.